Okay, right. Okay, welcome to another day with Ayya Upekkha. I feel that as we always do our reflection, the days and nights are relentlessly passing. How are we passing our time? So here today, I see our new committee members passing on I would call it a little turning of the wheels to the next generation of the committees to get the wheel of the Dhamma rolling from BSV. 70 plus years, right? BSV. So we hope that we can keep on rolling. The Buddha did the biggest rolling, so now we have to do our little rollings to keep the Dhamma going. And also have to mention that we are very pleased that the Dhamma wheel in the Century of Stillness up in Newbury Buddhist Monastery did not have all those spokes outside the wheel, because if you have spokes outside the wheel, like a steering wheel of the ship or whatever, or boats, it can't roll if you have spokes outside the wheel. So we did a correct job. Whoever did it, we really have to thank them for not putting spokes outside the wheel. Can you imagine rolling the wheel with the spokes there? It will have a lot of obstruction. So that was really wonderful. Okay, and before I start my talk today, I really want to thank Kwan Hui and Sito for training the monks and nuns to present better talks, more organized talks. Thank you so much. Both of them are here today. Okay, let's see how well I do after your instructions. Okay, so I don't have any particular sutta to go on today, because I thought maybe this I would say sharing today may be helpful to each and every one of us, including all of us monastics too. Because ever since the Century of Stillness came into function, right? And we have held quite a few retreats there, one by Ajahn Brahm, one by Ajahn Brahm, and a few weekends retreat, and it has proven to be very popular. So, and then at the same time, when they went for the retreat, I think many of them actually, if not 90%, unless due to medical reasons, they also took 8 precepts. Right, so it's a wonderful practice to support our Noble Eightfold Path. Now, the question that arose in my mind was, if we just practice 8 precepts, 10 precepts, or even for monastic to practice our Vinarus according to the letter of the word, but not according to the essence of the teaching, if we go into retreats and all that, is that going to direct us to liberation from samsara? So I came up with all these questions myself. I asked myself, if I keep on doing all these things, and if I don't go further investigating the Dhamma deeper, and not going inwards to investigate my own heart and mind qualities, will I able to become awakened? So these are the questions that I actually came up with. And of course, as Kwang Hui and Sito mentioned, go to Chat GPT. Get your questions there, and get all the notes that you have gathered from your experience, from data here and there, and get the AI to organize it. And I really found that it was so helpful. So helpful. So of course, there are not all the information that I wish to mention inside that summary, but it's good enough for me to edit here and there, and then to hopefully make it more Dhamma inclined. So these are the questions that I asked myself, and I thought maybe today we can actually just go a little bit deeper and really look at what are we doing? Is it really going to help us? Okay. So of course the questions is SOS and retreats and other retreats offered by other centers, right? How helpful are they? Taking the 8 precepts, what's the intention? And what are the benefits of the retreats and the 8 precepts? Can we be liberated just by following the above, retreats and 8 precepts? And what about the internal prisons that we build for ourselves? Why did I ask this last question, the prisons we build for ourselves? Because, Ayya Sankappa and I were spending some time here due to our teachings and all that, and we found a little booklet in the free distribution. I noticed that the counters are not there. Do we still have free distribution counters here?
Around the corner.
It's around the corner, yeah. We found a book, Prison of Life by Bhikkhu Buddhadasa. I gave it it's just a very thin book, just a few pages, 20 over pages, I think. And what he mentioned there was so true. It really penetrated deep into the heart. We have been building prisons for ourselves, but we do not know it, right? So we couldn't find any extra copies. We found something online. So if you are interested, you can go online to look for this book and then really look into the prisons that we build for ourselves. So because of this book, okay, I was wondering, will we be able to become awakened by going for retreats, by observing the seal days, monastics, by observing all Avenarus? Are we able to be awakened? Okay, so before I go into those prisons of life, let us go analyze what is exactly retreats for. What is the purpose? Can they really benefit us? Okay, so here, when we go for retreats, it's actually just taking some time off for us to really sort of like detach ourselves from the business of life, our commitments, everything. Yeah. So there are really times of the days where we really can quietly sit down and do some reflections, or even listen to Dhamma talks by the either lay or monastic who is doing the retreat. And of course, before we come to have this kind of retreats, we also need to have all these kind of conditions to come together before a retreat can be successfully held. SOS has been experimenting, and I think we finally come to a good solution for weekend retreats. Yep, slowly we are learning what are the flaws there, what are the weaknesses there, how can we sort of like reinforce all the strength that we now have. So we are slowly getting there. So thank you all for giving us that opportunity to really gauge what is needed to be done at SOS so that it can be beneficial to those who are participating as well as those who are supporting. Okay, so for the retreats, the purpose is really to create a supportive environment, right, for mindfulness, meditation, and ethical living. So those few days of retreat, 100% when you're onto your 8 precepts and observing noble silence, I'm quite sure that the level of ethics and morality is really high. Right? Unless inside you are having some kind of wars internally, then of course you have to really look into that yourself, right? And that's what retreats are for, to really reflect inwards, not to look outwards. Most of us always look outwards. So normally for retreats, we discourage you from listening to too much Dhamma talks, going onto your recordings or going on to online talks and all that. The talks by the Venerable who is conducting the retreat is enough, because the talks will be related to why you are there for the retreat. Okay, so don't always go outwards. We have been listening to Dhamma talks for most parts of our life, but why are we coming back all the time? So it's very important that now we focus the exploration inwards, just as what we have recited just now about the Dhamma. Yeah, it's timeless. You have to come and see for yourself. You have to bring the focus inwards, the Dhamma that lead inwards, not the Dhamma that lead outwards. Okay, so that is the importance of why we have retreats. And also, when we go for retreats, we really hope that we can deepen our understanding of the teachings, right? A lot of times when we are new to Dhamma, we are just sort of like petting, on the bark of a tree. But when we go for retreats and Dhamma talks and all that, hopefully we can really understand the teachings of the Buddha. The same sutta that can be read over and over again can come to various levels of understanding when we are practicing, because we can relate what we practice to what is being taught. So retreats are important for us to understand through studies, through experiencing. It's so important. And of course, the most important is when we go into the retreats, what is called cultivation. Cultivation is not appearing to be holy to impress people. No, that is not it. Cultivation is getting out of our unwholesome habits of body speech driven by the mind, getting out of that, and trying to be wholesome in speech and bodily actions. So that is called cultivation. Yeah, you can go through a lot of retreats, you can go on pilgrimages, you can do a lot of whatever rituals and all that. It's not going to purify ourselves. It is only getting out of our unwholesome habits, which most of us have, including Ayya Upekkha, right? This is the reason why I become a nun, to really get rid of all the defilements that has been in me for how many births, I do not know. But that is the real cultivation. Yep. Doing good is supportive. It's just like the committees that has formed, the what I call the pioneer group that has formed this BSV, everyone who comes in to volunteer, all these are important to generate support for our purification, right? Meeting like-minded people are support for us to really go into the path deeply. So we need all this kind of support, all this kind of encouragement. Okay, now, to really go into further details of why our retreats are important, I have some points here. You can see whether you agree with them or not, because some of them came from the Datas Online, some of them actually came from my own experiences, because as a layperson, I too went for many retreats, right? And we always had those interviews with our teachers, and after that, when we came to Australia, we had interviews with Ajahn Brahm to verify whether we really are on the right path during a retreat or during a meditation. Okay, so those are important points. So here, according to what I have here, we really enjoy and benefit from retreats, unless a retreat has been very poorly organized, or sometimes we ourselves carry a lot of baggages with us, we can't calm our minds down. Otherwise, most retreats will benefit anyone who participates. So first and foremost, I think it's very important. It is actually a rest and a time for mental clarity. Most important is it's really a time for us to rest, because we are so busy out there in the working world especially, and then you have family commitments, you have office, your career commitments, and then sometimes you have volunteer commitments, community commitments, which is like a full-time job. Even for us monastics, we find that we are so busy most of the time. Yeah, so when is the time to really let go of all these things? It is so important for us. Otherwise, we'll all get burned out and we get frustrated, we get disgusted. And then what's the purpose of practicing the Noble Eightfold Path when we don't have joy? So that time of retreat actually helps us to really go into a deep rest for body and for the mind. Okay, so it's really that silence and simplicity of those few days, really, it helps us to break away from especially our digital devices. Agree? The digital, the handphone, the phone, that's the thing that is really a lot of disruption for us. So I think recently when Ajahn Bodhidaja and Ajahn Chunda had the retreat, I think he actually encouraged people to either hand in your phone or take out your SIM card, put it somewhere, and it's locked in the office. That was what I heard from Ajahn Bodhidaja and Ajahn Chunda. I think that's a great way. In fact, last night when we were having the teens group, we were also asking, maybe one day we can all go to Newbury, and that's where you put away all your digital devices. You may not have a handphone, but you will have a tablet or a computer or a laptop or whatever. So that will be good, because we are so used to going onto the devices every day. And then also talking every day, interaction, whether they're useful or useless. We are always talking. And of course, sometimes through talking, we create a lot of problems for ourselves and for others, because sometimes, we cling on to our views and all those things. So arguments, conflicts, all those things will happen. So it's a time for us to really stop interacting, go inside, right? So the other thing is really to be detached from all the distractions of life, which is so many, right, in various forms, okay, and allowing the mind to settle. The most important is for us to allow the mind to settle. As most teachers say, once the mind is settled, like a river with running water, or even a glass of water with some sediments at the bottom, you cannot be stirring it all the time. You just got to let it settle, and then you can see the stillness of the water, and the deep reflections will be there. So that is for helping us. And of course, while that is happening, we will have more mental clarity, right? So a lot of times our teachers always tell us, when we actually do meditation, right, even if you cannot get into jhanas or anything, if we practice meditation daily, consistently, with deep understanding, with full awareness, with mindfulness, right, there are things that will happen. First and foremost, we can learn how to focus better. Second thing, we can learn how to observe better. Third thing, we can learn how to analyze better. And fourth thing, we can learn not to react, but to respond better with more clarity. We may not be as wise as the Buddha, but with the clarity and quietness and pure, the brightness of the mind, all these things will happen. That's why sometimes, I think most of us who are in the leading roles, we will be asked, how do you know that you're making a correct decision? A lot of times you need to make snap decisions there and then. How do you know that it's correct? So as I've always mentioned, as long as it's not for my own benefit, as long as it's for the benefit of others, most of the time it's likely to be a wise decision which benefits others. It's not to do with me. It's to do with everyone. And everyone will include me. So most of the time, with the clarity of mind and the inclination to benefit others, most of the time we can do something correct. So that is so important. Right. Now the next thing is about emotional healing and inner peace. Right? So of course, being in a retreat when we are left alone, it is really a time and space for what we call introspection of how our emotions are being processed. Are we able to let go of our stress? And also a time to reconnect with the inner self. Many times we are doing things to please others. Many times we do things just to fit into others, what you call boxing us into special kind of categories. You are a nun, so you have to behave this way. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Yes, of course, we go according to BNI rules. But there are certain things that may need to be done, which may not be accepted, but needed to be done. Not to harm others, but for the benefit of others. So there are all these things that we really have to look into ourselves. Am I living my life just to please others? Not out of compassion or loving kindness, but just to have people have a good impression of us. Not many times when I say something, I'll do this, then some people say, but other people will think very poorly of you. Whatever is needed to be done for the benefit of people. I can tell you that a lot of our patriarchs and other monks and nuns who have started monasteries or centers or whatever, many times when they are the pioneer groups, they have to do a lot of things that may appear to be not very, dharmic in a sense, but later on you can see that it actually helped to pave the way for the path to unfold. Yeah, so there are many things that may not be able to be explained there and then, but the person with wisdom will probably know that this is what I need to do. It's not for myself, it's actually for the benefit of other people. So periods of retreat times is really a time for us to look into myself. How am I living my life? Am I living my life just to fit into other people's, expectation of me? Am I being true to myself? And being true to myself is, am I being true to myself according to the values of Lord Buddha's teaching? Because we are Buddhists, because we have confidence and we take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Right? So all these things, we really have to focus during retreat times. It's really the best time when no one talks to us, no one comes and asks you questions, no one interrupts you while you are having a flow of thoughts. That's the best time. Look deep inside. What do I want in life? How have I been living my life? Yeah. So all these things is a good time to reflect. Okay. So, of course, the other thing is through the teachings and through meditation. If you have experienced even a taste of what we call awakening, just a little bit of a taste, I'm quite sure that you all will know that what Ajahn Brahm and other teachers have been teaching us, that there's really nobody there. We are all part of nature. Right? So all these things, you will be able to get a taste of it. After you come out from those experiences, then you realize, wow, this is actually what the Buddha has been telling me all this time. I've been on the wrong path all this time, clinging to being somebody special and all that. That's such a good time for reflection when you really have a little bit of taste of what awakening is, what true nature is, what the Buddha's teaching is. Yeah. So all these things are really important. So the other thing is about spiritual growth and insight, right? Even if we don't go into a deep jhana or anything, we can sharpen our mindfulness, and of course mindfulness must come with clear awareness, okay? I think it's called sama sati and what's the word now? Sorry? Yeah. What do you call it? Sampajana. Yeah. Correct? Yeah, getting old already, getting forgetful. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so practicing meditation, okay? intensely helps us to observe our thoughts and emotions with greater awareness. And you don't just observe it. When you come out of your meditation, be aware that, wow, this is something that I know is existing in me, especially those things that are not wholesome. Try to eradicate them, abandon them, uproot them. But if there's something that is really good and pure, I know somebody is here. I was so happy to say, Ayya, I really want to be a good person. I know I have done some things which may not be very wholesome, but I really want to be a good person. Oh, wow. So I actually thought, okay, if sometimes the habits come up again, I'll go, just to remind. That's how we support one another as Kalyanamitas, right? You need Kalyanamitas who dare to say, hey, Upekkha, stop that. You wanted to be a good person. Why are you doing the same thing? Hurting people or having bad speech or whatever. So we need our Kalyanamitas in that way. So once we have observed what is inside us that is not very wholesome, we must make strong aspiration, determination, what you call adhitthana, to really get out of that. Okay. Now we can do a lot of good, but if you don't get out of that, it's still not going to be called cultivation, right? We are all doing a lot of good, but we are not uprooting our deformance. It is not balanced. So this is the time for us to really go in depth. And then, of course, insight into the impermanence and self. So as I was saying, once you have a little taste of awakening, of which is maybe just even a momentary taste of what is jhana, then you can see for yourself that, wow, there's really nobody there. Because Ajahn Brahm has always described that most of the meditators who have been practicing meditation, right, most of them usually lose the sensation of the legs. Sometimes your hands go off before, and then you don't feel your legs, you don't feel your hands and all that, but you may be still aware of sounds and all that. So you're really getting deeper. And when you can really go so deep until there's really no thoughts and no sounds, no sense of the body, wow, that's the taste that we are all looking for. No money can buy this kind of experiences. No one can do that for us. Only we ourselves can experience ourselves. So I remember Ajahn Brahm, in his talks to the monastics, he was mentioning about this monk in Sydney. I think he's from Vietnam. Yes, he's from Vietnam. He may be a Mahayana monk because Monk Jack and Ayya Nibbida actually went to see him. What happened was that he actually started a retreat for 7 days. On the first day of the retreat, he was leading the retreat and he went into samadhi, 7 days. Now, how can a person survive 7 days without going to the toilet, without eating, without drinking? Nothing, just sitting there for 7 days. Even science can't explain that. How can a person sit there for 7 days? So we hear a lot about our practitioners like our bhikkhus and bhikkhunis in the past, like in Thailand, in Sri Lanka, in China, in Burma. They are always going into this kind of samadhi for so many days in a row. How do they survive? How can science explain? You don't eat, you don't go to the bathroom, you don't do anything, you just sit there. Right? Scientifically, it doesn't make sense, but it's happening. And it's still happening. And it can happen to any of us if we know how to let go. It can happen to any of us. So please try not to convince yourself that, oh no, I won't be able to awaken this lifetime. We have been convincing ourselves life after life after life after life that maybe next life, maybe next life. Now is the time to convince ourselves. The Buddha has mentioned in the Mahasatipatthana that we can become enlightened even within 7 days, right? So why are we coming back again and again and again and again? Right? It's just like yesterday we were talking to the teens. What is the stress in life? What are the stresses in life they face? Exams, peer pressure, parental pressure, all this kind of stuff. We are coming back again and again and again and again to experience all these things. I think it's about time that we tell ourselves, please stop. At least at maximum 7 more times. That's what Ajahn Brahm always tells us. Go get yourself into the holy stream. That's why we want to learn Buddhism, especially for us monastics. Go into the holy stream so that you don't have to go more than 7 births again. Otherwise, it's just coming back again and again and again and again, sometimes in worse conditions, maybe sometimes in better conditions. At least we're able to hear the Dhamma, right? But what if we really, get born into a realm that there's no Dhamma for us to listen to? That would be so sad. Yeah. So all these retreat times, it gives us this spiritual growth and insights, okay? That everything is impermanence. Yesterday I actually messaged to somebody. I say, anicca. I think the first thing that comes to mind is, something bad has happened. I say, no, somebody has given a room for you. You don't have to stay in the library anymore because the library is so cold. Oh, wow, that anicca is really gladly received. So anicca doesn't mean it's always dukkha, right? It can be sukha sometimes. But of course, after sukha, dukkha will come back again, depending on what kind of experiences we have, right? So anicca is happening all the time. And do we really, really think we can control? I don't think so. Many times we cannot control what is happening. Only when conditions come together, all good conditions come together, then maybe we can have some sort of control. But it's all because of conditions coming together to assist the process to unfold in a very wholesome way. Otherwise, you'll be, hitting all the walls every now and then because we want to force things to happen. I've learned the lesson. I've really learned that. That's why nowadays it's very, very easy for me to say, our teachers always tell us, you try your best to resolve a situation. When you know that you can't do anything more, just keep silent. That's all. That's all. So the silence can be a way of either this kind of spiritual retreats, or it can be just a way of retreating and not, confronting. Just keep silence. Let things unfold according to conditions. So those are teachings that I have learned over the years, especially when I became a nun, with all the guidance from our teachers. Yeah. So these are important for us to really, go into the path of cultivation. Okay, so of course, the other thing, besides sort of spiritual kind of insights and growth, we do come together as a community with shared common intentions, right? We all want to come together for a retreat. Why? Because we want to really have the intention to go through what we have described just now, okay? And of course, if we really take what we have realized during the retreats and, turn it into our, lifestyle and all that, we will definitely be able to benefit ourselves and our family members and all the people around us. Yeah. So it's very important, okay? So that is how the benefits of retreat can do for us. Okay. Now the second thing is, oh dear, do I have time? Okay. Now the second thing is about observing seal days, right? Most of us think that in the suttas, the Buddha always talk about like full moon days, right? Or even new moon days, even all those winning moon days and all that, we go for still days. But in reality, the Buddha is telling us that every day, every moment is a good day to practice precepts. We not as a householder, 5 precepts is minimum in order for us to qualify calling ourselves a Buddhist. Right? And also the Buddha has mentioned in the suttas that at least if we practice the 5 precepts well, at least it warranties a good rebirth, hopefully a human rebirth, right? And then if we can go into 8 precepts, it's going to be even more empowering, it's even going to be more of a blessing to support us in our holy life. So, There are a few suttas where the Buddha talks about observing Upassata days. There's one in particular. There's another one that probably is in the Dhammapada. I can't remember where I read it, where the Buddha actually asked the ladies, why are you here for Upassata days? So some of them say, oh, because I want to marry someone who is kind to me, because I want to have grandchildren, because I want my husband not to marry other wives, and all sorts of reasons. Except because I want to, go into the stream to be out of samsara. So those are the wrong intentions of going into observing seal days. Right? So seal days are very popular nowadays. A lot of people go to NBM. Unless they have a medical reason, as I say, otherwise most of them would prefer to go on 8 precepts because they can see the benefit of the 8 precepts. And the Buddha has mentioned about the benefits of 8 precepts. So again, I have actually come up with this sutta here. It's actually found in AN 3.70, Mulu Upasta Day, the Mulu Upasta Sutta. Okay, this is when Visakha, went to, did I have it here? Visakha, I think it's Visakha, who went to see Lord Buddha, and Buddha asked, wow, what are you doing here today? Yeah, Visakha, yeah, correct. So Buddha asked her, what are you doing here today? He said, oh, today is Upasthana Day, I like to come here to observe the 8 precepts, right? So the Buddha was talking to her about the 3 kinds of Upasthana days. So those that are wrongly practiced with wrong intentions and those that are rightly practiced. So I'm quite sure many of you have already heard of those that didn't go with right intention to observe seal days. But the seal days observed is according to what the Arahants would have done on a daily basis. Okay, so the Buddha has actually mentioned that if we practice our seal days according to what the Arahants would have done on their daily basis, okay. So the 8 precepts, of course, I think you all know the 5 precepts plus not sitting on high chairs, not using beds, and not eating afternoon, okay. So the Buddha has mentioned that these are actually practices that helps us to simplify our lifestyle, also to lessen our cravings, okay? And also, it is a time to really cleanse the mind, okay? So on Upasana days, sometimes we are all encouraged to really reflect on the qualities of the Buddha, right? On either the qualities that we have just mentioned, the Buddha, how he became pure, and then we can recollect on the Dhamma, what we have mentioned just now. We have recited the Sangha, right? And also on our own virtues. Our own virtues. Every one of us have done something good with life. Every one of us have values in life that aligns with Lord Buddha's teaching. It's just that we have other agendas that we created for ourselves. That's why we cannot be so pure. But many of us have a lot of virtues, really, right? So we can reflect on those things and see whether we have more virtues or more of what I call unwholesome kind of habits. Yeah, all these things are worth reflecting on. And of course, recollecting devas. Devas. Why are they born in the heavenly realm? What did they do with the human life for them to qualify to be reborn into the Deva realm? So you all have heard about Anathapindika, right? Right? When he passed away, he actually came down to Lord Buddha to say, Lord Buddha, I am Deva so-and-so. I'm actually Anathapindika who was actually supporting the sasana and the Sangha and all that. And he didn't not only support the Sangha and all that, he helped anyone who needs help, regardless. Until one day he was so poor, remember his story? Until he was so poor. And then, of course, the Devas started to help him and all that. Yeah. So all these things are things that we can reflect on. The Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, our own virtues, all of us have those, right? And also the Devas. Because if we reflect on the Devas, then we can actually live our life accordingly to the what I call the morality, the standard of morality that the Buddha has recommended, right? Not that our final goal is to be born into the Buddha realm, right? But at least it stops us from going to be born into the lower realms. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so in short, the Buddha was saying that if by taking these 8 precepts, right, we actually emulate the arahants and observe the upasata, leading to the cleansing of the mind and abandonment of defilements. Okay, so it will bring us inner calm, it will bring us joy, and also the pure lifestyle that is in alignment with the Lord Buddha's teaching. So these are the benefits of Uposatha. So maybe I can read a little bit here. When the Uposatha of the Noble Ones is undertaken, it is of great fruits and great benefits, of great glory and great radiance. This is according to the sutta. This practice leads to the purification of the mind, the cultivation of joy, and the abandonment of defilements, resulting in a life aligned with the Dhamma. So remember that whenever we want to do meditation, right, you must always have joy. And this is the reason why Ajahn Brahm says, build SOS to be so comfortable so that when the retreatants come in, they feel so relaxed, so free of stress, they are so happy. And then when they listen to the Dhamma, they sit in quiet meditation with the joy, they can really go deeper into meditation, which is true. Because if you read about the jhanic stages, right, first you got to wrangle with the what they call the vitakka and vichara, the thoughts going out and sort of like anchoring and all that. And after that, once that is done, joy, piti will arise. Yeah, and then after piti, sukha will arise. So piti is a more intense state of happiness. Happiness is more soothing and calming and tranquilizing. So once you have joy felt in the heart, it's much more easier for you to go into deeper meditation. Yep. So, okay, this is what the Buddha also mentioned. Observing the Uposatha of the 8 precepts is better than kingship over human beings, which is a meager thing when compared with heavenly bliss of the different heavenly realms. So he went on to mention what kind of lifespan you have if you're in this heaven, blah, blah, blah. So all these different heavens. But what he meant is that kingship over 16 great lands, right, complete with 7 treasures, is not worth 1/16 of observing Uposatha with the 8 factors. Wow. Can you imagine that? Observing still days. It is so much of a blessing that even when you are a king over 16 great lands with all your 7 treasures, you can't beat observing Uposatha. But of course, the Uposatha has to be observed with purity. Yeah. So it's so important for us to really observe the precepts. Something that cannot be seen, but it can be felt. Of course, you may not feel it immediately, but it can be felt. It can be felt. Yeah. So these are what is meant by are we able to be are we able to benefit from the retreats and also the observing Uposathas? They are very necessary, but are they able to release us from samsara? That's the question. Okay? That's the question. So can we be liberated just by following retreats and observing days? Not necessarily. Most teachers will say that. Okay? But they are necessary supports. Okay, precepts and retreats create the conditions for insight and liberation, but liberation itself arises through deep understanding of anicca, dukkha, and anatta, meaning impermanence, the unsatisfactoriness of life, and also the non-self aspects of what we are going through. Okay, this is a good one here. Precepts are like cleaning the lens. Precepts, right? Liberation is seen clearly through the lens. I really like that. Yeah. So this is something that has been, raised by those who have actually seen the benefits of retreats and Uposatha days. Okay. So while ethics and retreats alone do not guarantee liberation, they set the stage for us to go into that. It paved the path for us. Okay. So another important highlight from teachers, whether they are from Mahayana or Vajrayana or Theravada, most of them will tell us this thing, okay? You can be in a monastery and still be in bondage. You can be in prison and you can be free. This is a paraphrase of many great teachers. Please excuse me, my mucus is just coming naturally. This is nature, okay? I didn't will it to happen, and I cannot stop it from happening. We are just part of nature. It's just so cold. Okay. All right, you can be in prison and be free. Now, I just want to recollect one experience that I had when I was in Singapore. There was this drug pusher who was sentenced to a death statement. And one of the ladies who visited him actually was looking around for, I was still a layperson at that time. This lady who visited this person who was sentenced to death in Singapore, right? She was looking for some support for this prisoner, this drug pusher. And she managed to find some monks to preach Dhamma to this person. What we actually learned on the day that this drug pusher was executed, when we attended the funeral requested by this lady friend of his, we attended there, the funeral, and we were told by this lady who frequented prisoners who are supposed to be executed. What she told us was really very amazing. She told us that those who actually learned Buddhism during their last days before they was executed, they bravely faced their death. Whereas others who didn't listen, right? I don't know whether they listened to other religion or not, but what she mentioned was that those who did not learn the Dhamma, they had to be dragged to the executioner's room. So those who have committed drug pushing and all that, Singapore is so strict with drugs and all that, right? Those who have been executed, she said, this is not the first time. Many she has seen, they bravely face the execution chair. Why? Because they know that this life they have done wrong. But they strongly make determination that I will not fall into this trap ever again. And they bravely face what is executed on that day. That was what the lady told us. I was so impressed by this lady. She was just a very ordinary person, right? No one whom you know would be there to support prisoners facing their last moments, but she was there for them. So she started to ask for Buddhist books and all those things. Yeah. So you see, we don't have to be someone special. We don't have to be a monastic or someone who is very clever in preaching Dhamma. It's all this little help for a person to realize that there is another path for you. You just need to make the determination, right? That strong determination before death is so important to be a good person, right? So she said that they just bravely face whatever is happening there. It was so impressive. Yeah. So it's so amazing how Dhamma can change the mindset even at the last moment before we are supposed to die, if we really embrace it sincerely, true-heartedly. So that is so important. So according to this statement, I can relate to this statement very much. You can be in a monastery and still be in bondage, which is what most of us are still having, isn't it? We visit monasteries, we go for retreats, we have sila days, we listen to Dhamma talks, but there's still a lot of things inside us that has not been cleansed or not been cleared, right? But Prisons of Life, written by Bhikkhu Buddhadasa, mentioned this statement, which has been echoed by other teachers too, that even if you're in prison, you can be free. So this is another thing that we have to really look deep into our hearts. We are all free. We are not in a physical prison, but are we in prison? Now, this leads me to this book. How much time do I have? 26. What time do I need to stop? I only have 5 minutes. Okay. Okay, so please, if you... Okay. If you can, please... Oh, okay. If you can, go online, read this book. It's really, really good. It's so penetrative. A lot of things that we take for granted, which may be prisons in our life. Okay, so briefly speaking, okay, Bhikkhu Buddhadasa has mentioned, I really like reading his books. He's so direct. It's so penetrative. You just can't help but really ask yourself, am I falling into all these traps, right? So what he mentioned here I did a little summary of this book here. So what he mentioned here is the prisons of life is what we are clinging to out of craving. It's called upadana in Pali. If we are able to stop clinging to all these so-called even good things, then we can set ourselves free from samsara, hopefully, yeah, if we do it the correct way. So he's mentioning that the first prison of life is life itself, right? With life, with birth, comes what? First noble truth, right? First noble truth. Okay, so we don't talk about the other feelings and all those things. We just talk about being born and aging, sickness and death. All these things are prisons that we build for ourselves to come back over and over again. And then the second thing he says is our clinging to essential pleasures. Isn't it true? We want this, we want that, we want this, we want that. Right? That's why living a life of simplicity, like those of us who are now observing all these veneros and all that, we may not have a lot of things, but we at least have the freedom and happiness of not having to be, trapped by sense desires that comes with using of money and asking for things that's not necessary and all that. Yeah. So that sense desires, that's a second prison that he's talking about. And then he talks about superstitions and rites and rituals, another sort of prison, right? So the Chinese say you cannot have a number 4 because in Cantonese it sounds like death. And then of course the other culture says you cannot have 13 on Friday, it's very bad luck. So does it really mean that number 4 and 13 are really bad luck? I don't think so. It's just a number. It's because of certain things happening on that day. Then we start to attach the reason for it being bad luck. There's so many superstitions, right? Even in the Buddhist culture, so many rites and rituals that is not necessary because the Buddha's teaching is all about the mind. Everything is mind-made. In the Dhammapada, in the suttas and all, Buddha talks about the mind, the driving force to whatever we do. Okay, so the third prison that he mentioned is about religious institutions, that is including monasteries and religious centers, elitism. My center is better than the center, right? And also guru worshipping. This teacher is the best. Now, the Buddha has never taught us to be like that. He doesn't teach us to really just worship a certain guru or anything. We don't worship. We respect if we know that they're practicing. It's just Ajahn Brahm. We don't worship Ajahn Brahm, but we really are grateful to him and respect him very deeply because of his insights and wisdom, right? He appears to be a very ordinary person. He's so humble because we have worked with him. We have lived in monasteries close by to him. We have seen how he treats his monks and how he treats us when he comes here, how he talks to everybody. He's so humble. And this is what a practitioner should be doing. Whether you're a layperson or a monastic, the more you practice, the more humble you become. Again, I come back to that simile where, the teachers say, it's just like planting rice. When the rice is starting to grow, the plant is growing straight towards the sky. But once you have fruits of rice and all that, it hangs down. When it's ripened, it hangs down. And that is a good simile of one who is on the path. When before we actually learn the teachings, we are so egoistic, arrogant. I'm better than you. BSV is better than whatever else or something. My teacher is better than yours. Yeah, all these things, better than, superior than, inferior than, equal than. All these things are teachings that the Buddha said do not fall traps into. So these are exactly the prisons that we build for ourselves. Now, that's including monastics too, okay? When I talk, I always talk about not just lay people, but also about monastics because I have seen in myself the weaknesses in me, the weaknesses in all the fellow practitioners, but also we have seen the goodness of lay people too. So we have to be, I want to be very fair, right? Teachings is not only meant for monastics, unless the monastics has gone into the holy stream. Otherwise, we are just like anyone. But the thing is that we have the rope to protect us. We have to be grateful that we are able to wear the robe that protects us. If we abuse the power of the robe, then good luck to you, because the Buddha says, just as kusa grass wrongly cuts one's hand, the monastic life wrongly lived drags one down to hell. So don't think that wearing a robe is so beautiful. You have to really do the correct thing to be worthy of wearing the robe. Okay, so the other thing is the other prisons is clinging to views, clinging to self. Okay, one so-called, even some people say, I am pure. I'm pure. I'm really pure. Okay, then the sense of superiority, inferiority, and equality. All these things arising for what? From where? I. The I-ness, they call it, the I, the self, the I. When we have that sense of self, there's no way for us to break through. So that is another prison we create for ourselves. And of course, we have, in short, the asavas, what they call the cankers or the upadhanas, clinging to sense pleasures, clinging to wanting to exist, to want to become again. I want to be somebody. I have to be reputable. I want people to know how great I am and all that. All this kind of, clinging, it is also a prison. Okay? So also, and then being deluded and not knowing that one is deluded and not being humble enough to take instructions or advices from teachers or wise people, that's another kind of trap, prison. Okay? So please, if you have time, I think I've passed my 5 minutes. If you have time, please look for this book. It's really good. All of us who read this book really mentioned that. All of us mentioned the same thing. It's really good. It's really high time we really look deeply into our hearts and mind. Okay, with that I conclude. Now for questions.
Yes, now for questions. So you might be able to elaborate some other points when you get some questions. First question from the floor. Okay.
Yes, there's a question.
Hi, Ayya. Thank you so much for the talk.
Who is it? I cannot see from here.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah. Okay, come. Yes, thank you.
So whilst you were talking, I remembered there was a documentary that I've seen on YouTube about misbehaving monks in Thailand. One of the example was a monk that uses a private jet to the US and wearing luxurious items. What can you comment about the behavior of these monastics?
Okay, my answer is very simple. Whatever we learn from the Buddha's teaching is meant to measure ourselves, not to measure others. But if we know that the monk is not practicing according to the Buddha's teaching, we have every right to stay away and not support. But we are not there to condemn, giving them the benefit of the doubt that probably one day they can realize whether they are on the path or not. This is how I guide myself. I don't want to go out, announcing that this is somebody who is not practicing anything. And it's up to the teacher actually to correct them. But unfortunately nowadays, a lot of monastics do not have a teacher to guide them. I'm not sure whether I answer your question.
Yes, that definitely answers my question.
Thank you. Yeah. The Dhamma is meant for us to look into ourselves, right? And also for us to discern, not to discriminate. We can discern who is practicing, who is not. Discernment, the Buddha always speaks about discernment coming from wisdom, not from discrimination. And it's up to us to whether to detach or not to detach, or to attach, yeah.
Okay, online question.
Yeah, thanks, Ayya. We've got one online question so far. It's, how do we motivate family members who are not interested in the Dhamma and have wrong views and wrong speech, etc.?
That's another thing. I cannot even do it to my own family. We cannot force religion or views or anything which you feel good. Even, sometimes we feel that we're eating something so nice, so wonderful, so yummy. Then you tell someone you really like to share with them, hey, try this, it's so good. No, thank you. I'm happy with what I have. It's the same with religion. but we can try to learn to respect them for what they are doing good. My own family, we have Catholics, Christians, non-believers. Mom and me, two of us are the only Buddhists who really took refuge in the Holy Triple Gem. Then we have Christian, Catholic, and mostly one is a Taoist. Yeah, we only have 7 siblings. How many religions do we have there? But we support one another. As long as you don't do anything that harms others and harm yourself, we support one another. You can call yourself a believer of anything, but the wholesome lifestyle is what we're looking for, not the title, not the label. So your family, for me, show by example. Show by example. You see, like for me, I'm a Buddhist nun, right? My sister is a Catholic. When I went to India, I regularly went to visit Mother Teresa's tomb. And when I went there, I had a very long conversation with the nuns there. And then they started to give out pendants for the Christians. So I asked for some for my sister. And the nuns, they give me more than what they give to others. I'm a Buddhist nun, right? I say, I'm asking for my sister. My sister was so happy. Wow, I'm a Catholic and I couldn't even go to Mother Teresa's tomb. And yet you, as a Buddhist nun, you were able to get some pendants for me. How happy she is. Every time I go back, my sister will always support me, whatever I need. My family, not Buddhist, whatever NBM needs, SOS need, they're always there to support if I open my mouth. Because we, as monastics, we can only open our mouth for help through blood relations. Others is through invitation. Like most of you who go out there say, Ayya, I'm coming. What do you need? What can we get for you? Through invitation, we can say, oh, we need this. But most of the time, we're very well provided. But for family members, like, my family who come and the Singaporeans who come, those who come here, as long as they family members, they don't have to give us invitation. We can just say, oh, the monastery need this. And they know that most of the time we don't ask things for ourselves. We always ask for the monastery, right? SOS need this, NBM need this, the monks need this, the nuns need this. Are you able to help? And we do tell them, we have to have this kind of quality or whatever. These are the things we need to keep us warm or to keep us healthy. We just tell them what we need. And it's up to them to give us what they think is suitable for us. And most of the time, they give us very good stuff. Yeah. And we always make sure that we don't ask for unnecessary things. As monastics, we should live a life of simplicity and frugality. And we must always treasure what is given to us. That's why in NBM, we always emphasize no wastage of food. Anything that can be reused, reuse that. Otherwise, make sure that it's at least sent into the compost or something. Make use of it. Even the Buddha's time is the same thing. Why was the Buddha so well supported? Because when Buddha was asked, how do you use your robes that is torn and all that? So there were different kinds of answers. First, the shreds were used to plug holes. Sometimes they will make into wigs for lights and all that. Various ways how to use all these shredded ropes that cannot be wrapped around our bodies for modesty. So we must always as monastics, we must always treasure what the devotees have given to us. Some of them give us things better than what they use at home. It's so incredible. It really touches you deep in the heart. The way they support us when they believe that we are really on the path. That's the reason why here, when we're practicing according to the Dhamma and Vinaya of Lord Buddha's teachings, the early teachings, with a teacher like Ajahn Brahm, we do get a lot of the support there. Yeah. So is that okay? Is the answer?
I think there's another question from the floor. Yes? No. There's another hand up before. No? Okay. Anything else online, Trudy? Okay, looks like that's it for questions today, which means we have announcements.
Okay.
Okay. And strangely enough, there's always quite a few. So lots of things seem to be happening. All right. Same as last week. Shameless plug. It's the end of the financial year. If you'd like to make donations and if you have the capacity, please do so before the end of the year. Ajahn Brahmali's Sutta retreat. For those who went, but those who just simply like to catch up on the teachings, they're very great. It's available on Podbean, so it's. I should put my glasses on, but I can just quite read this. bsv.podbean.com. Okay, and then we're still looking for people to join the focus group. So there's an email that was sent. Sorry, I'll reread this. I really should put my glasses on. Hang on. Okay, here we go. For those who put their hand up to join the focus group, there's an email you were sent yesterday by about 6 p.m. So can you respond to that? The activities for that group will be starting this week. Next Sunday will be the last Sunday of the month, so that's the Kalyana Mitta cleaning day. So please come on, give us a hand to give the centre a bit of a spruce up. We'll start around about 12:15 for an hour or so, gardening and general cleaning. So you can bring gardening utensils or just stuff to wear when you're cleaning. Okay. Fortnightly Sutta discussion. The next one will be Saturday the 28th of June. That's 7 p.m. That's online, hosted by Bhante Sangamaji and Ayya Santa. And the newsletter's got the details on joining Discord for that. For City's End people, there's a Dhamma Day retreat next weekend, 27th to 29th of June at SOS. And again, there are details on the newsletter or the City's End social media platforms. Then our own upcoming retreats. Ajahn Nisarana is giving a retreat on the 4th and 6th of July. That retreat is now full, and I believe the waiting list is also full. So you have to, if you're not on it, then there'll be another one, but not for a little while. However, we're about to enter into the rains period, or the monastics are about to enter into the rains retreat period, the Vasa, and so the commencement date is the 11th of July. On Sunday, the 6th of July, there'll be a special celebration here. I believe you're coming down for that too, okay? So that's just the normal times, but it will be a special day. And along with the Vasa, Ajahn Sadaro will be inviting everyone to join a special ceremony online on the 11th of July at 7 p.m. in the Discord discussion room. He says that you can formally undertake the 5 or 8 precepts for the Vasa, and there people are encouraged to stay in touch during that time. There will be the Atthana 2025 channel. Sounds kind of funky, but I guess it's just to encourage people to take a little bit of an extra step during that retreat period. So not just monastics, but lay people. And then Discover Buddhism, led by Ajahn Sadaro, will be recommencing. So we'll have more details around this, but that will start again on the 18th of July. For those who are not aware, it's a sort of initial 4 Friday night sessions on Buddhism, and then another 4 sessions after that. But more details to follow in a little while. And then we go to next week's teaching, first of all, tomorrow night, to the meditation, which will again be led by Ayya. Thank you very much, Ayya. Tuesday night is our layperson-led meditation. Mondays to Thursdays at 7 p.m. online, make meditation a healthy habit. Or in the mornings, New Day, New Mind, daily meditation group. You can join any time between 4 a.m. and 6:30. Next Sunday, the talk down at here at the Buddhaloka Centre will be Ajahn Aruna Vihari, and then Monday night meditation by Ajahn Aruna Vihari. And that gets us to the end of the announcements. So we can formally close if you'd like to lead us, Ayya. Thank you very much.
Supatipanno